friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming at you with my 9-month update for my Pan Those palettes in the 2020 year. I am really thrilled to be doing an update with you, so I'm going to go ahead and jump back in time and show you what my palettes look like after 8 months of usage. And now, present day, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what my Lorac Pro 1 palette looks like after 9 months of usage. And here's what my Cargo Summer in the City palette looks like after 9 months of usage. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start with my progress update for the Lorac Pro 1 palette. First off, we'll deal with light pink. Just as a reminder, I know I always talk about this, but in case this is your first time tuning in, I finished up light pink in the Lorac palette months ago, and I had been working on a Too Faced shadow that I had been working on since like last year's Project Pan, a long time, and I had been repressing it in here. I have since used that shade up entirely, and so what you see pressed in here is another new shade that I am using. This shade, I went into my giant black palette, which if you want to see the contents of that, I did film a video a little while ago focused on that. I'll link it up in the cards or in the description box for you to check out. But I went in there, and I'm not gonna lie, I just essentially went with the smallest tan, pinky, like really neutral, basic, all over powder color that I could find. And I'm fairly certain this is from that same Too Faced palette, the matte palette. I pulled out a lot of the like easy matte skin tone type colors for me and kept those. So I decided to grab this little guy, and you can see here what I've already scraped out. I will admit that this didn't allow me as easily and cleanly to crack into a small section of it to repress in here. That's why I've got some like weird marks on the, hold on. This is why I have some weird like cracking on the very top there. Ooh, more just cracked out. Basically what I figured out is that for this shade, the next time I go to put more powder in here, I need to just break up the whole thing and try to fit it into that one pan. I think I can do it because I tend to press pretty far down to like make a thinner base. I don't need to do that. I can press a little bit less harder and then be able to get more product in there. So that will be the path. I mean, this is such a minute shade compared to how large my Too Faced one was. So there's a possibility that I could work through it pretty quickly. At least I'm hoping so. And then my plan will be to find another like small shade that I can get a quick victory out of, so that way I can just make more progress on panning shadows. So it's basically the deal with light pink. You'll also notice that I finished off light bronze. I did not have a ton left in there, but it started to get like crumbly as I was trying to pick up product from it. So I basically went in and crushed it all to get the last remnants, and it ended up lasting like a solid 9 days. I feel like I got 9 eyeshadow looks out of it. I kept thinking like, is today the last day? Is today the last day? I really burrowed through on it. I am really happy that I finished that off, and I really did enjoy that look. I really was craving for that. And historically, if I go back in my history, I would have just purchased a palette for that particular look. So I'm really pleased that I ended up not purchasing the Natasha Denona palette that I was super in love with, and instead just found something comparable in my collection. that really fed that desire that I had, and now I no longer feel the need to purchase that palette. So all in all, wins for me there. I'm really happy. Once I was finished off with light bronze, I essentially started to move into my two comfort zones, which is mauve and sable. I actually have made some interesting discoveries with mauve that I want to talk to you guys about. Basically what I accomplished with the shade is I widened that circle, but I also have started to really like thin down the overall colors. When I swirl in, I really try to make it a point to like swirl around and not go more towards the base of the color. I'm noticing that it really is wearing down the overall shade that's in there. But the discovery that I made is that I have that shade in a few different variations that at face value, I didn't necessarily think would look like that. But during the month, I allowed myself to play with my Fame palette. Obviously, I love this palette. And I have to say, I feel like when you look at it, it doesn't look like this is actually the same shade, but Clubhouse right here reads on the eye a lot like mauve from the Lorac palette, which is really bizarre. And then I also noticed in my Sydney Grace Summer Days palette, which I finally have pulled this out to play with, I also, and maybe it looks a little bit more similar here, I find that Daystar gives me really similar vibes. And I only noticed that when I went to use this and I pulled that shade and I was like, wait a second, this is looking a lot like the mauve, which ended up being a perfect discovery because when I originally put this shadow on, I went with Daystar in the crease. And then for some reason I was like, let's just get exploratory. Go ahead and try s'mores on your lid. And I really liked the look of it. So that inspired today's eyeshadow look. I actually ended up putting mauve in my crease, but on my lid, I have gold. This may not feel like a super out of the box look or very creative for you, but for me, I don't think I would normally have looked at this palette and eventually seen that combination. But like I said, it's on my eyes today. I'll give you a nice close up. I'm really happy with it. I don't know, I just think it looks really cool and different and fun, and I like it. So I could see myself going forward doing gold a lot more as a lid color. I've mostly only used it as a crease color, and this is like a lighter, flakier type of shade. It's similar to pewter, like it doesn't take a lot of effort to get pan showing, so it might have been surprising that I managed to get pan on here just using it as a crease shade, but you can make a lot of progress quickly. So I think I'm gonna definitely try out using mauve and gold again as a combo, but I think I also wanna try using sable and gold, using sable in my crease and trying gold as an all over lid color. The other one that I've mostly been using is sable as well. You can see now that I have a noticeable dip happening here. This is sort of the trajectory of how I pan the mattes in the Lorac palettes. They are really hard pressed and you have to use them a lot to get any kind of usage, especially with my complexion. I don't need a lot of product to get a nice opaque dark sable color to show up on me, so I'm not using a ton. I really haven't touched pewter. I haven't really been craving pewter as a crease shade lately. I've been really appreciating more of a matte crease. If you have any suggestions for pewter as like a lid look, let me know in the comments because I haven't really tried pewter as a lid color. And then garnet, I'm not gonna lie, this isn't my favorite color. I've tried it and it doesn't really come off as much more than like a brown, like a less impactful version of pewter. It's not as red as it looks in here, so I'm not really concerned about making a lot of progress on this. I'd rather focus on the other 4 Lorac shades that I haven't finished off just yet. So this is where I'm at with this palette. Meanwhile, in my Cargo palette, I basically made a bit more progress on Summer Love. You can see I have a little bit more shadow revealed to give you that little bar line that's in there. I've got that a bit more exposed. I'm gonna keep playing with this. I also used Rosé once or twice as a lid look, so probably nothing noticeable there. The rest of the palette I really haven't touched. I was really focused on getting that light bronze up, and then I've just been wearing mostly Summer Love. I think going forward, I'm probably gonna keep focusing on Summer Love, trying to either finish off this bottom bit or try to even out the top a little bit more. The other thing I will say about the 2 palettes is I, this month, discovered an unsung hero in my brush collection. I recently, I don't know why, but I all of a sudden pulled out my Urban Decay Naked 2 brush that came with the palette. I have since decluttered this. I think it had just gone off, so I got rid of it, but I kept the brush. I think I pulled this out for the blender side. I go through phases in my eyeshadow brushes in particular where I try to scrutinize brushes that are similar in shape and see if I should get rid of them. Like, do I really need this many types of, particularly like crease brushes? I've gone through a pretty aggressive phase trying to find like the perfect one, and I have a pretty good arrangement going. But I used this, and I will admit, I wasn't in love with the blending side, but then for some reason I was like, try the flat side. I think it was that I was trying to still, before I crushed up my light bronze, I was trying to like get very specifically into the corners of that shade. And this particular brush, this shape I don't think is that extraordinary, but this does an excellent job of picking up shadow and really like laying it super like opaquely and shinily onto my eyelid. And it really helps me, because I lay my crease down first, it really helps me like carve out the part of my lid that I want to have product on, because sometimes when I put my crease on first, I do end up with a little bit of crease onto my eyelid, the crease color, and this just is beautiful. It is excellent at picking up the cargo shades, but it's also really good at picking up the Lorac shades. I've been using this a ton. I just wanted to put it out there in case you have one of these brushes and it just like sits in your collection, doesn't get used, and you have either one of these palettes. Try this guy out because it is magical. All right, guys, so that's it for me. That is my update for month number 9. I am really truly putting on makeup 6 or 7 days a week, which is fabulous. I am somebody who is working from home right now, so I've not been deterred by having to wear a face mask because I don't really leave my house super often, but I'm looking forward to seeing what month 10 pops up for us. I really hope that I can have more progress to show you and get closer and closer to being able to wipe out more of these shades before the year is done. I hope that you enjoyed seeing this update, and I'll talk to you in my next video.